So, what is up, guys? Now, if you haven't watched Glass, you should probably click off because I'll be doing my spoiler review now. I highly recommend watching the movie first or my spoiler-free review. So yeah, you've been warned. So I mentioned in my last video that David Dunn opens a new business. He now has his son Joseph working for him, and he's been updating his father about the police looking for him and the whereabouts of the Horde. Soon, he ends up fighting the Horde, who has kidnapped some more girls this time, 4 to be exact. And they have this epic fight scene which eventually leads to them being locked up in a mental hospital. Before that though, we get a cameo from M. Night Shyamalan, and we learn that his character is the same exact person in this entire trilogy, as it was referenced in the movie that he was the drug dealer in the stadium from Unbreakable. We also find out that David's wife Audrey passed away, and we get some deleted scenes from Unbreakable that were used as flashbacks in this movie. One interesting thing I want to point out is Anya Taylor-Joy's character, Casey Cook. We see her talk to Sarah Paulson's character, Ellie Staple, to ask if she can speak to the Horde in Kevin's personality, and Paulson says no. Then the camera shows a close-up of Casey's eyes, and she gives her this death stare, and she asks Ellie Staple why. Dr. Staple still rejects, and we get an even bigger close-up of Casey's death stare, and literally the scene right after, we see Sarah Paulson's character open Kevin's cell so Casey can go talk to him. I'm not sure if I'm the only one who thinks this when I saw that scene, but when I saw it, I began to wonder if Casey had powers herself. The way these scenes were portrayed, I don't know, it was almost like as if Casey somehow manipulated Dr. Staple to unlock the cell by the way the scenes played out. Like, the movie doesn't show a scene between Casey's second death stare and Dr. Staple taking Casey to Kevin's cell. So I don't really know what happened that allowed Casey to go see Kevin, but I don't know, I'm pretty curious. I'm kind of curious how Ellie Staple got persuaded. And as for Casey, I don't know. It just felt like there was a different vibe with Casey in this movie. So a lot later in this movie, we see Mr. Glass and the Horde team up to reveal the existence of superheroes in this new tall skyscraper in Philadelphia. So this prison/hospital thing for the criminally insane does a pretty poor job at monitoring their inmates because they all escape really easily. Now David Dunn tries to stop Mr. Glass and the Horde, and then he ends up fighting the Horde in beast form. Now earlier, Joseph, David's son, did some research on Kevin Wendell Crumb, who is the Horde's real personality, and he finds out that Kevin's dad was on the same train as David years ago that crashed, in which Mr. Glass was also responsible for. So Joseph snitches, and now the Horde knows, and in beast form, he turns on Mr. Glass. He punches him a bunch of times, and he breaks multiple of his bones, and he eventually dies. Now David and the Beast have a great fight scene, but then they end up in a pool. The good thing is, David breaks the pool, and they get separated. And now Casey tries to get the Horde out of beast form. And she succeeds. Now right when he switches, he gets shot from the secret organization that has a clover tattoo, like from miles away, sniper. And it turns out that Ellie Staple, Sarah Paulson's character, is the leader of that secret organization. Now that's 2 out of 3 dead. But hold your horses, cause they're gonna kill David as well. Now the death that pissed me off the most was definitely David Dunn's. After the pool of water explodes, leaving David weak as a result, since he was in that pool moments ago, right? Some officers from the secret Clover organization that kills Kevin as well pushes him into this puddle and slowly and painfully drowns him to death. Now while David's being drowned, Sarah Paulson's character says to David that if he had admitted that he was just a regular human being with no superpowers, she wouldn't have let the officers murder him. Wow. It only took that less for Sarah Paulson's character to spare David. Now David's death baffled me on so many levels. First off, I don't even know why they have to kill him in the first place. Like, why does it matter that he has to admit that he's just a normal human being? And also, is he really a threat to society? Because if anything, it's Mr. Glass and the Horde. He even tries to stop Mr. Glass and the Horde from harming others by breaking out of his cell and locking up other civilians in a van for protection. And he is by far not a threat at all compared to Elijah and the Beast, so I don't know why they went out of their way to kill him when he was already lying on the ground in pain to begin with. I also hated the way he drowned, like, his head was being pushed into the puddle constantly, and he just couldn't get up at all. And the movie showed that for like 2 minutes straight, which pissed me off so much. We haven't seen David Dunn do anything significant since Unbreakable. And in Glass, they decided to just kill him in probably the worst possible way. They really did his character dirty in this movie. If he was to die, he should have a more meaningful and sacrificial death, not some crap like this. What also pissed me off was that were there really no one around to do anything about it, like his son Joseph? Like, Casey was with Hedwig because he got shot. Elijah's mom was with Elijah because his bones broke. But what was Joseph doing while David was being drowned? Like, David's death was already bad enough, and Joseph being completely taken out of the picture during this moment kind of frustrates me. I think his death would have been more emotional if Joseph made an attempt to get through the cops and stop them from drowning David. It probably would have added a lot more suspense and tension into the scene. I also have to point out that the last scene with the Horde as Hedwig and Casey made me pretty sad, especially when Hedwig said he liked being 9. And like right before he dies too. The fact that they made Hedwig his last personality where he spoke his last words before he dies made it even more emotional, and the acting was great from both James McAvoy and Anya Taylor-Joy, and they definitely made it one of the more heart-wrenching scenes in this movie. Out of all the deaths, I'd say the Horde made me the most sad. David's death made me the most angry, definitely. And honestly, I was totally fine with Elijah's death. I thought they ended off his character really well with his final monologue, and I think they wrote off his character really well. I guess I'm fine with the Horde's death too, but I'm just sad he's dead because I really like that character, and I think James McAvoy did a phenomenal job portraying the personalities in Split and now Glass. But as for David's death, I'm not a happy camper. So now for the second twist. It turns out that Elijah had recorded the whole fight through the cameras installed by Sarah Paulson's character, which were originally made to monitor the hospital, and he has now basically revealed to the whole world that superheroes do indeed exist. So in the end, Mr. Glass wins. Now afterwards, Casey, Joseph, and Elijah's mom get copies of the video of the fight, and they basically post it online, and now everybody knows about it. That superheroes do indeed exist. Now that's basically it for my spoiler review. The spoiler stuff really happens in the end, and I think the audience will be very split with this movie. Split. The ending really makes or breaks the movie, to be honest. I will watch it again in the future because I do think that this movie will grow on me in future viewings, but overall, it was still a good movie for me, and I'm sticking with my 7.5 out of 10 grade for this movie. So that's really it. Check out my Glass non-spoiler review, my Split review, my Unbreakable review, and my other videos as well. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Like and subscribe. Also, let me know your thoughts on Glass and the ending of it. I'll see you guys next time.